Here we go again. This is going to be another good interview.
Yes, it is, especially with us two, man.
Oh, my God. I got my dear friend in the building. James, we go back a long time, so this is going to be a good interview. But let me set you up properly for those who don't know, the Vlad TV audience. We got an incredible promo man, record industry exec, marketing expert, and manager to the stars. Please welcome Mr. James Cruz, the Vlad TV. What up, James?
What up, Prez? Thank you for that intro, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Real talk, James. You have a very, very long history in the music industry. So many people know you. You are one of the Latins that came into the industry when there were few Latins in the game.
Yes, sir.
And I see the shirt, raised by Latinos.
Raised by Latinos, man. You know, I take pride in that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to keep it so real with you. I was telling you offline, since I met you, mid-90s, you have been waving that PR flag heavy in an industry that was predominantly African-American. So I got to give it up. But check it. I want to go back to the beginning because you have a very, very long and storied history in the rap music game. So, you start out as an intern,
Yes,
most people do.
Yes, sir. Back then, that's all we had. Our way in was, to offer our services. I was 16 years old when I graduated high school. I was part of an SP program.
What school?
I graduated from Madison High School in Brooklyn. I got kicked out of South Shore for being a knucklehead. But at the end of the day, my athletic prowess was able to get me transferred to Madison rather than have to go to Spofford. And before you don't know, back in the day, Spofford was like a juvenile jail. But those were the days when you either had a wicked jump shot, you pitched a wicked rock. You didn't have too many outs from, the hood. I was born 1972, 16-year-old mom. Went into labor at the Puerto Rico Day Parade. Had me the next day. Graduated 16, played ball. I had the dream of being a professional ball player. Was actually pretty damn good. But God had a different plan. Got hurt, got sent home, rehabbed, went to John Jay College, trying to figure out what the next move was going to be, trying to get a city job. And was home kind of depressed and got a phone call from my cousin, Liza, who was working at PolyGram at the time. And she said, she called me by my nickname. And she said, you need to really do something that you really love, you have a bright future ahead of you. You're still young. They're doing this internship program at PolyGram. You should come and interview for it. And I, reluctantly did. But through all the years, from my first club, I was 12 years old. I went to Heartthrobs, where it was a fun house. So I was always in the nightlife. And these are the times when we were separated. It wasn't so much that you went to a certain neighborhood for a club. You went to Mars, you went to Heartthrobs, and they played all different types of music throughout the night. So my musical taste was different. Growing up, we listened to salsa, we listened to R&B, we listened to all kinds of stuff as we cleaned the house on Saturday. Disco. I had a disco ball in the living room growing up. So it was, it was these influences. Always loving music and hitting these clubs hard. And, from the age of 12 to, 19, I was in the clubs every weekend and just had this love and love to dance, love to enjoy myself. But I never thought about being in the music business. And I saw a documentary called Truth or Dare with Madonna. And I said, wow, is that what tour life is about? Wow, that's kind of interesting. So when my cousin called me and asked me to do the interview, I did it. And lo and behold, got the job. And did it for the summer. I worked for Ed Eckstein, the first black president of a major record label, Billy Eckstein's son. I interned in the marketing department under Thornell Jones. Shout out to Thornell. Thornell used to make me get his coffee and his laundry, but, I got to learn about the music side. And in that time, we had a executive softball league in Central Park. And I played for Mercury, and because I played ball so well, I kind of, shined a little bit and, caught the eye of Ed. At the end of the summer, there was a retreat to Santa Barbara, California. I had never been to California. And 25 interns were taken out to Santa Barbara. And out of 176 or 178 interns during that time at PolyGram, there was one job. And they were going to announce who got that job at that retreat. Lo and behold, Jana Fleischman, one of the best publicists in the game, who actually was a publicist for Jay-Z and Beyonce and those guys, she got the job. So I said, okay. But I was very close with Sincere Thompson. Sincere was one of the original promo guys in the game. And he had run a contest. Hot 97 was actually 103.5 back in those days. A lot of people don't know that. Angie was on 103, Flex was on 103 before it switched over to Hot 97. And I was invited to the MTV Awards because they had run a contest and the two winners only spoke Spanish. So Sincere was like, yo, come to the MTV Awards, bro. I need your help. You know what I'm saying? He was like, I said, what's up? He was like, yo, this girl, she's really cute. She won the contest, blah, blah, blah. She has a friend, you know, I need somebody to help translate. And I was like, well, what's her friend look like? And he was like, So I knew what I was getting into. So I drive down to LA, go to the MTV Awards. And during that time, we had an artist by the name of Vanessa Williams who happened to be Miss America. We had another artist named Brian McKnight. And, you know, because of the youthfulness and the energy, they always took a liking to me. So Vanessa and Brian, I think, were presenting an award, and Vanessa asked me to stay in the green room and watch the kids while she went and presented the award. And as she's walking out, Ed Eckstein comes in and goes, Cruz, what the hell are you doing here? And I was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. All he says to me is, I want to see you first thing Monday morning. Remember, the MTV Awards were on Sunday. And I was like, Mr. Eckstein, we won't be back. I'll be back Tuesday. He said, well, you're going to come see me Tuesday morning. I said, all right, cool. So Tuesday morning comes, I get into the office. We start at 10, you know, so I get there at 9:45, ready for, you know, take my medicine, whatever it is. And Ed walks in about 11:30 as I'm sitting there like I'm sitting in front of Dean's office. He says, Cruz, I'm glad you're here. Come with me. Now, if anybody's been in the PolyGram building, there are these long hallways. So he's walking me down this hallway, and I'm like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. This is going to be the walk to the electric chair. Grabs a door, busts open the door, Larry Stessel's office. Larry's on the phone. Larry jumps up, hangs up the phone. And all Ed said was this: Larry, I know you like to hire the guys with the degrees and the experience, but I want to hire the son of a bitch who snuck into the damn MTV Awards. Find this kid a job. And they made me an assistant in the retail marketing department. And thank God I learned how to make the money in the music business. Retail was very important back then. Remember, there was, SoundScan wasn't even out yet. You know what I'm saying? So it was all billboard reporters. So I would have to call all the mom and pop record stores and get the sales numbers and try to get the relationships. My first phone call was to George Daniels from George's Music Room in Chicago. And this man
Shout to George Daniels.
Shout to
Legend.
George. Grandpa.
Legend in the game.
And Grandpa spent an hour on the phone just picking my brain and talking to me and giving me advice. And I said, this is for me. So at 20 years old, I had a $25,000 a year job in the music business. And I had the opportunity to learn from some of the best. And that was the moment when I said, hey, maybe let me give this retail thing a shot.
Okay, so it's interesting, right? Because when you got on my radar, when I started hearing the name James Cruz, you weren't necessarily in the music industry.
Nah, I wasn't.
You were over at Reebok.
Yeah.
What was the transition from you being in the music industry, doing sales, to being over at Reebok at a time when Allen Iverson was popping?
Chuck, yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, it was interesting because as a hot retail marketing person in the game, a young guy, I always had this promo thing about me where I go to the tunnel and carry records and deliver it to the clubs. And it was just something that was in me. And then I remember there was an opportunity to go to Universal Distribution to run the New York department. So, I was invited over for an interview. I did the interview, got the job, and I felt like I was a national at Mercury, but I needed to perfect a market. And then you had Lorraine, you had Cy Lerner, you had all these mom and pops. There was a New York coalition, and they all embraced me. And while I was at Uni Distribution, a dear friend of mine was at Reebok, Dawn Marie Baxter. Dawn Marie Gray, my bad. Dawn Baxter, somebody else. But Dawn Marie Gray was at Reebok. And she was going from a New York regional to becoming a national. And she said, James, can we give away some sneakers to some artists? And at that time, I had some really good relationships with artists. And I'll never forget, Mace wore a pair of GXTs on his promo photo. Back then, we had black and white promos that the artists would sign when they did in stores and did appearances. And that was my huge home run win because Mace was the hottest thing moving at the time.
Yep.
And then at Universal Distribution, I was working Marilyn Manson, I was working Tupac, I was working Blackstreet, I was working all the different labels. Interscope was just coming, I was working No Doubt. But then there was another small distribution company for RMM, Ralph Mercado Records. And he had artists like La India and Mark Anthony. So that was right in my alley. So I'm like, yo, this Latin thing, this is dope. I could work these records too. So I took it upon myself to go work these records in the club. So I was in the hip hop club, or I was in the Latin club. I was moving around. And then when Dawn got upgraded, her position opened up at Reebok. And I said, you know what? If I call somebody on the phone and they know I got sneakers on the other end, they're gonna take my call. So I took the job at Reebok. But the closing caption on that was Allen Iverson. And not a lot of people know this. Bubba Chuck, we call him Chuck. Chuck had an opportunity to do a Nike deal. And Q Gaskins and Todd Krinsky had a meeting with Allen Iverson coming out of Georgetown up at the Reebok Sports Club uptown. And I was invited to that meeting. And Chuck made a point. He said, you guys want me to sign to Reebok, but you ain't got nobody that looks like me, talks like me, walks like me, or is from the same neighborhoods I'm from. How are they gonna work my project? And that's when the lightning bolt went off. When Q Gaskins, who's one of my muses in the game, he makes me better. It's like playing with Jordan. He just makes you better. Shout out to Q. Q Gaskins decided to create a team called the Drop Squad. And the Drop Squad were the original influencers in the game. We were the guys that dealt with the mom and pops, that dealt with the local celebrities, that really positioned stuff. And they handed me over a budget. And the first thing we did with that budget was sponsor the Rucker tournament. We had Reebok everywhere. We had courtside seats. I mean, you had Kobe playing at the Rucker. You had Skip to My Lou. You had Half Man, Half Amazing. You had Black Widow. You had all these guys. You had Booger. You know what I'm saying? You had all these guys playing ball wearing Reebok. I never forget, Kobe didn't want to wear the jersey because it had a Reebok logo on it. Rest in peace, Kobe. And in that, the marriage between hip hop and basketball was happening. That's when Jay and Fat Joe and all them had teams. And that marriage was going on. So now I'm able to give Big Pun sneakers. I'm able to give DJ Enough sneakers. I'm able to get sneakers on the feet of people who wouldn't necessarily even engage with the Reebok brand because it wasn't that hot, except for Club C's, which Jay-Z wore religiously. So now I was able to play in that world. And as I was doing that, I was still in the nightlife, still in the clubs. Then I got some advice from a very important person in my life. His name was Sean Combs. We had an opportunity to sponsor his party out in the Hamptons, 4th of July weekend. And I drove out there, and Puff and I had been friends for a while. We had known each other from the nightlife here and there. I was even there when he interviewed Ed Exide for the deal for Bad Boy up at Mercury. And I'll never forget, Puff goes, yo, people look at you and they see Reebok. I want people to look at you and see Bad Boy. And I was like, okay, you know what? Puffy's the hottest thing on the face of earth. Mace did me that favor, wore those sneakers. You know, Puffy wore, and if you look at All About the Benjamins, they got Reebok batting gloves on and Reebok cleats on. So, you know, I was moving a certain way, and I took the job. And Jason Jackson was the head of marketing. And 2 months after I took the job, Jason Jackson decided he was going to go manage Lauryn Hill. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I think you had just been coming in with Josh Takeman. Because I
had been there. I had actually been there before you.
Oh, okay.
Like literally there before you.
So they handed me the babysitting job to the street team. I was brought over to do mix show and street promotion. So I had June Balloon, Shan the Butcher, Tuck. We had the Bad Boy Van. We had Malcolm Miles. You know what I'm saying?
Shout to the whole crew.
The
Shout
whole
to
team.
Jay Black, June, Shan. I mean, these are the day ones. These are the guys who put bricks in that building.
Yes, the one with the megaphones, with the picket signs, the ones with the Bad Boy fake bulletproof vests, the one-piece gas station outfits. Like, we was a squad. We was a family. And I was like, yo, I just came over to run mix show and street promotion. And Puff said, well, sink or swim, you run promotion.